What's going on YouTube? It's Mr. Ferguson here once again. Thank you guys so much for coming back for another video here in Central North Carolina. I am dressed on a Sunday, getting ready to go to church here in a little bit. We don't have Sunday school on Easter Sunday. We just have the morning worship to give the Sunday school teachers Easter off, if you will, from teaching. So that's why I'm dressed up, look like I'm going to another NC State conference for turf grass or something like that. But thank you for tuning in. Hope you're having, I'm filming this on Easter, hope you had a great Easter weekend. I know a lot of us get off Friday as well. I do, working for a city municipality, so we got off Friday and we got to go back on Monday. But it was a great weekend. We are, I guess this is maybe the case around the country. Here in North Carolina, this Easter weekend, we're hitting highs today on Easter Sunday. We're going to be over 80 degrees today. This is exactly what I was talking about, where here in North Carolina, we kind of go from the 50s to like 80. We spring up and down, back and forth. This is why it's so difficult for us to seed in the spring, because we can go from like the winter, quote, winter temperatures of 50s, we hit 60, and then we'll jump into days of the 80s like we're doing right now. 4 days in the 80s here, and then we're going to drop back down into the 50s and 60s. So we're just slingshotting back and forth with crazy weather. But what I want to talk about today briefly before we do go off to church, I'm up a little earlier and able to do this and edit it this evening, is talk about those of you up north, those of you that do plan on spring seeding. We've talked about this, we've been making videos throughout the winter, but I know a lot of people, I can tell by the view count on my videos, a lot of people are waking up now. A lot of people are walking outside, the pollen's in the air, the sun is hitting them, they're like, man, it's time to work on the lawn. I know, I can see it every single year. And so here we are, the view count starts coming up, all the arrows are pointing green and up on the YouTube channel. So let's talk about seed real fast on this Monday video. And I haven't prepared a big long list, I'm just going to be spitballing off the top of my head a few things for you to consider when you're going to seed your lawn. So the first thing is, what do you already have? We obviously want to pick the right grass type. So that's important to know if you're a new person, you're doing this for the very first time, you just bought a new house or you bought a house from a previous owner, what type of grass do you have in your lawn right now? This may be easier for you to answer depending on your location of where you live. If you're way up north above North Carolina, it is likely that you have cool season turf, ryegrass, Kentucky bluegrass, tall fescue, creeping fescue, a fine fescue, probably a mix or blend of all of those. It could be any of those. If you're in North Carolina, Southern Virginia, North Carolina, and further south, it's likely that if you don't know, if you have maybe brown grass that's beginning to turn green right now, that you have warm season grass. St. Augustine, zoysia, Bermuda are the big, most common ones. And so, and as I said, like we know the warm season grass is a bit browning, but right now with days like this in the 80s, the soccer fields and everything around here, we start to see patches of green where the Bermuda's waking up. It loves the heat, it loves the high temperature. So if you look out your window and your grass has been brown pretty much all year, but now it starts turning green, it's likely you have warm season grass. So that's the first thing about, okay, I want to seed. You know, there's areas that I need to fill in. What type of grass do I have? And we're not going to go into major details of this, but we know Bermuda, it fixes and self-repairs itself. In the cool season side, we know Kentucky bluegrass. It will fix and fix itself in bare spots as far as spreading grasses, Bermuda being the king of all of these. Something like fescue, like what you see in my lawn here, it does not spread unless you buy a specific cultivar or specific type. They now have spreading fescue out there, but you got to know what you're buying. And so that's the first thing, is if you're just going to throw seed in your lawn, don't pick Bermuda up and throw it out in your fescue lawn. That is a no. When you come to the knowledge, you'll be like, oh crap, I just screwed up. If you have a Bermuda lawn and you're throwing fescue out there, you don't want to do that either. So know your grass type, number one. Number two, let's talk about the brands. If you're able to know what brand you put out before, you kind of want to stick with the same brand most of the time. That's not necessarily true all the time, but you don't want to have this color green and this color green over here, and you got like weird, it looks like a painting or something where you spilled green paint, two different green paints together. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen that with Jonathan Green and GCI Turf. That's what I've used here in my lawn. I've done mainly GCI turf. We did some triple threat in the front lawn. That triple threat actually blends in very well. I can't tell the difference between the Kentucky Bluegrass, or excuse me, the Jonathan Green, the GCI, or the triple threat, which is a local seed that we have here in North Carolina. But back here, it's mainly GCI turf type tall fescue. But when I begin to plant Jonathan Green in certain areas, we'll talk about in a second, I noticed there is a deeper, darker green of the Jonathan Green than there was the GCI. So just be aware of that. Like, you don't just want to buy random different brands and throw them all out there. It will probably most likely blend in together and you can't even tell, but there is a chance that you could buy something that maybe is a darker cultivar than other things you put out there, and it may look a little weird. So just be aware of that. Let's get into some of the more important things. Number one, your sun. In your lawn, do you have full sun? Do you have partial sun? We've hit on this many times here on my channel. Back in my back lawn, you can't see very well now. We're starting to get leaves back up in the trees, but we're coming out of, quote, winter here in North Carolina. It's been a very warm winter, but I noticed that everywhere I was planting my GCI turf type tall fescue, back in the shadowy areas by my shed back here, that grass didn't do as well. It wasn't getting the sunlight that it needs because the leaves, right now, it's getting sun all back there. There's barely any shadows back here in the back you can see, but once the leaves begin to fill in, it blocks the sun, and so now you're denying the sunlight to that turf, and I saw it struggling and dying off more. But the front and the middle of the lawn where I'm getting full sun looks absolutely amazing. So I'm like, what the heck? So I began to try to play around with, okay, I need to get maybe a shade seed that will do well, and hopefully it can last when it's in winter, coming out of winter, and it's getting full sun. Hopefully it'll be okay, but when the shade kicks in, it won't die off. So you may need to consider shady areas in your lawn that doesn't get as much sun. Which areas get full sun, which areas get partial sun, and you may need to look at a sun and shade mix versus something like turf type tall fescue, which needs full sun all the time. You may need to check into that. So I've put dense shade mix on the edge of my property back here, and it's done well. I've only done it once and overseeded it a little bit, but I really need to fill it in again this year. Coming up this fall, stay tuned to the channel, stay subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be overseeding this lawn again for the first time in 2 years in this back lawn. We did do the front lawn a year ago, but it's due, so we're going to thicken up my lawn, so stay tuned. But that's one of the things I have to consider. I need to put a shade mix more on the edge so that it can survive when all the leaves come in. So consider your sunlight. Which areas get more sun? Which areas get less sun? The next thing you want to consider is moisture. Do you have areas that are completely blocked by the sun all the time and it stays mossy, it stays moist? There are seeds out there like Jonathan Green Shady Nooks. I put some of that right here and it's doing pretty well. On an area of my house where, depending on where we are, what month, what season we're in, this area doesn't hardly get any sun at all. But it's a mix of, again, tall fescue, fine fescues that you can put down. It does well in more of the moisture areas. We can have weeds pop up in really high moisture areas, so it's something you need to consider. There are seeds for that. And speaking of other seeds, maybe you're like me, you're in North Carolina or further south, you're trying to have a cool season lawn like this tall fescue out here. Well, most people around here have the warm season grass because we get hot here, we get humid, and in the summer, most of the time we lack moisture, we lack precipitation. Well, one of the things Jonathan Green does offer is a drought tolerant seed. This used to be called Jonathan Green Solar Green. I'll put a picture here. I'm not off the top of my head, I can't tell you, but there it is right here. It used to be called Jonathan Green Solar Green. It's a Texas bluegrass mixed with tall fescue. Texas bluegrass designed and engineered to be able to tolerate some of the high heat and a little bit less water. That's something you may want to consider if you're in a heat-prone area like central North Carolina, like me. Sorry, touched the mic there. Or if you're further up north, maybe they make specific Jonathan Green seeds for different states. There's a specific seed for Pennsylvania. They've made specific seeds for different states. So you may want to check out Jonathan Green in the description. Check out their Black Beauty. It is very popular. There's a long story about how they discovered that grass type that looks absolutely stunning. I have to say it. Pete knows, he understands. I'm a great friend of Pete and GCI Turf. But the Jonathan Green, if you want the deepest, darkest natural green turf, I have to give it to Jonathan Green personally. That's what I've seen compared to the GCI. The GCI looks absolutely stunning and beautiful, but if you want the deepest, darkest natural green, I have to give it to the Jonathan Green. It is true. It is those cultivars, that blend of seed is a darker green, and it stands out slightly. It looks like where my trim pass goes, sometimes I may have sprayed heavy, but naturally it's just that seed. It's just a dark, nice, beautiful seed. So check out Jonathan Green for a ton of seed choices. Check out GCI Turf for their seed choices. You got a mix of Kentucky bluegrass and tall fescue. You've got ryegrass coming up, I believe. You've got straight up Kentucky bluegrass. You've got Bermuda grass, which is a warm season from GCI, so check them out in the links. Check out Jonathan Green in the links. And the last thing is you want to make sure you are buying a quality seed. That's why I mentioned Jonathan Green and GCI. They're not the only seeds. Mountain View, I hear a lot about Mountain View seeds. I hear a lot about Barenberg, I think. There's tons of different good seed options out there. You don't have to pick what Mr. Ferguson picks. You don't have to like what I like. You are you. You do you. You do your research, but do pick a quality seed. Well, how do I know if it's a quality seed or a crappy seed? Well, you look on the label. On the back of the label of seed, it will tell you that a lot of information that you want to know, which cultivars it's using. You can look up and research those cultivars and see what they are, why they are in this mixture. What did they like about them? Some cultivars do better with fungus. Some do better in heat. Some do better with the green, as we talked about with Jonathan Green. It's a deeper green color. Different cultivars are great and have pros and cons. And so different blends are better than other blends. But the main reason that I look at the label of a grass seed is because some of these grass seed blends will have weeds in the seed. Can you imagine sowing seed all in your lawn and you're planting noxious weeds or weeds back into your lawn that you're later going to have to go buy a product from Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever online and spray it to get rid of it, but you sowed it into the lawn yourself? I hate the thought of that. I don't even want to do that. GCI, Jonathan Green, I believe Jonathan Green has changed to a completely weed-free seed. GCI Turf is definitely 100% weed-free seed. I was just looking at Walmart. There was a bag of Pennington. I may put the clip right here. Looked on the back. It's like 10% weed seed and noxious weeds. It lists it out. There were several noxious weeds. You don't want to put that in your lawn. I don't care what type of lawn you have. I'm never going to sow weeds into my lawn, no matter what the manufacturer says. It's just, that's just, you get what you pay for. That is a cheap seed from Walmart. I will never buy that. I would spend the money to not sow weeds into your lawn. You're defeating the purpose of growing good grass to choke out weeds. You're putting the weeds and growing it with your good grass. We don't want to do that. So there's some things just to talk about, to consider. Sunlight, price is another one, obviously. Good seed versus weed seed that can be mixed into your bag of seed that you're gonna, your grass type. What type of grass type? Cool season or warm season? Wet areas. What type of climate do you have? Are you in a drought prone area? Do you need a drought type seed? This has worked very well for my dad. He's used a Scott's Southern Gold mix, more designed for the southern area of Southeast for dry, hot temperatures. He loves that seed. That's what he's used. He likes it. It looks great. I've shown you guys here on the channel. So these are some things just to consider if you're a person looking to seed. We've got links below. If you like the GCI Turf you see behind me, if you like Jonathan Green, you can check out those links below, or you can go and purchase whatever you want. And I'd love to hear about what you're going with this season if you choose to seed in spring. Again, as I mentioned, I'll be doing my seeding in the fall. It just works better for me. Don't forget also, if you're doing pre-emergent like myself, we did our first prodiamine app back in February. We want to wait till our temperatures, our soil temperatures, are crossing over 65 degrees in the soil, and we're going to begin to do our second application of prodiamine. Why do you want to do that? That is to help with crabgrass. That's going to give us coverage for up to 3 months in our lawn to stop crabgrass, to stop these other weeds from popping up. These are weeds that we can't see right now, but as temperatures in our soil are raising up, it activates different weed seeds to begin to germinate and pop up. Well, if you have a barrier of prodiamine or pre-emergent on your turf, then it kills it before it can ever pop up, and you never see it in your grass. So if you're not worried about that, you can let them pop up, and then you can kill them once they pop up. Things like dandelions, onions, things of this nature we don't want to see. You want to make sure you spray your prodiamine, or dithiopyr is another great long-lasting one, and you want to make sure you water that in. The first application, I did not water mine in, and I want to see if it made a difference or not. We'll find out. So hope this has been somewhat interesting to someone out there that may be looking at seeding for the first time in their lawn. Maybe this gives you a little bit to get the ball rolling. Check out the links in the description if you're interested. It helps support the channel here. If you're interested in buying some seed, go ahead and buy it from those links. It helps support me as well and get this information out. We just want to help other people to be successful in their lawn and have a great looking lawn to be able to wake up to on a beautiful Easter morning next year, hopefully. God bless you guys. We hope you've enjoyed this Monday video. Hit the like button to help it get out to others, and we'll see you hopefully Wednesday with another lawn care video. God bless you guys.